Bonsoir et bienvenue au Whisky Note podcast.
What he said. Good evening, everybody. If you haven't already guessed, we are in France. We're in Rochechouart, am I saying that right?
Rochechouart.
Rochechouart. Yes. I'm joined here this evening with my lovely friend slash somewhat family member.
Pretty much family member.
I'm going to say family member.
I'd say that.
Mr. Ben Watson. As I said, we're in France. We are outside, so you're going to get all of nature. But as a visitor in France, I decided that, you know, I'm an Irishman in France, so what better whiskey to bring with me than a bottle of Irishman
The one and only.
in France. So Ben, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
I know you listen, I know you follow it.
Oh, I do indeed.
Ben isn't French, but he speaks marvellously in French. It's very sexy.
If you say so.
I do say so. But you're a whiskey lover at heart as well, aren't you?
I am indeed.
You've actually introduced me to a few whiskies because if we take one in particular, Middleton Very Rare. Even though I go down to West Cork every year, I wasn't aware of the Middleton Very Rare until you had actually brought it up.
Yeah, I mean, I've stumbled across it. My son was born in 2020, and I come across an article where a guy had bought a bottle of Macallan every year until his son was 21 years old, and then he gave it to his son. His son could do what he wanted. He could sell it, he could keep it, it was up to him. Open it, drink it. I'm sure it would have broken his dad's heart, but and I thought that's a really good idea. It's a really good way to invest. It's a small investment each year, and I started looking at Irish whiskies because I prefer Irish whiskies, and I stumbled across the Middleton Very Rare. Unfortunately, I was too late for the 2020, but yeah, as of 2021,
Middleton, we need a bottle of 2020.
Yeah, Middleton.
We need a bottle of 2020.
Sort it out, please.
Otherwise, this, you know, you've got, let's see, we're on 2025 now, so how many years left until you give it on 18th birthday?
Yeah, probably, yeah.
Yeah, you got a few years yet.
Yeah,
but
a little boy's hopes and dreams are riding on
it. No, listen, so again, I picked this up in duty free on the way in Dublin Airport. Unfortunately, I didn't buy the Bushmills 46 year.
I know, I'm a little bit unimpressed.
I know, I mean, I did send photos of it, and it does look absolutely marvellous.
I saw it on your stories and I got all excited.
And they did have the 50-year Middleton release that came out this year to celebrate on it now, but it was 60 grand.
Huh?
Yeah, I think it was like 60 grand.
Yeah.
So I don't love you that much.
66, I think 66 it was retailing in France.
Oh my God. It has to be worth it. I think no Middleton collection is going to be complete unless you have those bottles as well. So you're going to need a lot of money. Anyway, so I brought the bottle. I settled on the bottle of Irishman.
Perfect.
I've tried Irishman before. I had it in Galway. I had the 17-year-old. It was fantastic. I was telling you before, I like going for a whiskey that has a weird number that doesn't sort of fall in line with your 10-year, your 12-year, your 15-year. I have my own thoughts on why that is. I tend to think that, you know, if they're ready to say, okay, well, this is a 17-year, to me, that's the master distiller has tasted it and went, this is ready to go. We'll release it now.
So you basically think it's a good sign for...
I think it's a very good sign.
Whiskey.
You know, if it's a weird number, I know Friend at Hand do 13. And again, I just think if there's something like that, it's just, you know, they've decided now's the time to go. We don't need to hold off to 21 year, we don't need to be 25, 30 year, 17 year. This isn't the 17 year though. This is their triple distilled single malt. And I've never tried this one. So this is going to be a sort of like blind taste test this evening.
I've never tasted. I've never had Irishman at all before.
No. Well, if it's anything like the 17 year, it's going to be fantastic.
Sounds good.
What I will say is, so the Irishman, it's owned by the same people, the Walshes, that own Riders Tears, which it was very funny because when we were in the kitchen earlier on, you had actually brought up saying that the styling and everything around the bottle was very similar to Riders Tears.
Yeah, I think I've had two bottles of Riders Tears. One of them was presented in a box like this that was see-through, and that's what drew me to it, because the Riders Tears is a completely different bottle, isn't it? It's a really tall thin bottle.
We've talked about that before. It doesn't fit whiskey cabinets.
On your whiskey cabinet. But it was presented exactly as I had two little glasses. It was really nice. It's the first time I literally bought it because it was odd. To be honest, odd on the shelf. And it was really nice. And this, what I said to you in the kitchen, it struck me that the look is of the same milk.
And I know people say don't judge a book by its cover, but it's kind of hard not to, especially if like it looks that good. Because I mean, I know, and I wouldn't even say I know we have the sunset behind us, and it's maybe hitting the bottle in a certain way, but the actual color of that just really stands out itself. I think it has this real, like nice sort of just
It is
rich golden color, considering it's not one of the, what would be considered maybe one of their more premium editions of whiskey, but no. So Irishman Writer Steers, they were started back in 1999. So I know
not old then.
that doesn't seem old to us.
No, certainly not.
But again, I still think it's 2007, and that I'm 17. So started in 1999 by Bernard and Rosemary Walsh, and they have this amazing motto, which I really, it's only because of a book I'm reading on Irish whiskey at the minute. Their motto is never say die. And what I like about that is what they were trying to do is they were trying to bring back the generational side of Irish whiskey where, you know, way back in the day, every village had its own 3-4 distilleries. You know, there was just hundreds of distilleries all across Ireland. Then Prohibition came in and everything started shrinking, and at one point, you know, with taxes and stuff being put on it, there was maybe only 40 distilleries in Ireland. So bringing the whiskey back, especially sort of around 1999, before we've seen this major boom in Irish whiskey, that never say die. That's just like it's a stubborn stance to take on it. It's just like, you know, we're not going to take no for an answer here. We're going to keep going.
Yeah.
And we're going to bring Irish whiskey back. And by what better way than calling it the Irishman?
Indeed.
Or Irish woman.
Yes.
Yes, because we've got an Irish woman behind the camera here, and she's just waiting for me to stop talking and open up a bottle of whiskey.
Correct.
Sorry.
I actually have a question.
Go.
Is it actually distilled in Ireland?
Yeah, no, it's still in Ireland. So I can't speak for any of the other ones. I know it says that the triple distilled, so this one in particular, it says it is sourced whiskey from Bushmills. But again, that could be outdated information that I've read. This could be their own official product now. I'll look that up. I'll put it in the comments. Tell me if I'm wrong. But from what I've seen anyway, a lot of Irishman's stuff is from Bushmills Distillery. That's not a bad thing.
No, it's not.
That's a pretty damn good thing.
Yeah.
Bushmills is something that you pretty much have a love for anyway. You've got a couple bottles in there.
Yeah. Jameson's was the first one that I really liked. I really got into, like proper Irish whiskey. I was never big on whiskey until I met my wife Amy, Holly's cousin, and living in France, they are massive Scotch drinkers, and I just didn't ever get on with the peatiness of the whiskey. So I tried Jameson's and I liked it, and then we went back to Northern Ireland to meet Amy's family and took a trip up to Bushmills. And ever since then, we bought I think it's the Select Reserve. Was it the Bushmills 12-year reserve? I think they've got.
Okay. Yeah.
They do. You can only buy it at the
You can buy it up at the distillery.
It's the Distillery Reserve, I think it's called. So we bought that, and ever since then, it's an easy whiskey to find in France as well.
Fair.
You can get like the normal, you can get Blackbush, you can find the 10-year. It's quite an easy easy whiskey to source.
I'd say, given having chatted to some of the ambassadors and some of the, you know, distillery sort of managers and stuff over the past couple of months, that market in France and maybe further afield, I'm from what I can see, is going to start growing. So the likes of this, the likes of, you know, your Titanic, your Hinch and stuff like that.
Definitely.
Hopefully it's going to start
Definitely.
going a bit more European as well.
I've got to say, since I've been really into whiskey, I always go down, every time I go to the shop, I always go down the whiskey aisle, always have a look, and it's gone from having a section from top to bottom of maybe 2 bottles per shelf to maybe 3 or 4, 5. Then you get, the other day I saw that they had, I can't remember what it's called now, the West Cork.
Oh yeah, West Cork, yeah.
Whiskey.
Yeah.
Which is the first time I've seen that.
Oh, it's
in
brilliant.
France. So yeah, they do Tullamore Dew.
Yeah.
They have, but yeah, it's definitely. I think it's a whiskey that once you drink it, you notice how good Irish whiskey is,
Yeah.
and how much maybe easier it is to drink.
Yeah.
Drink responsibly.
Yes, drink responsibly.
I think that when the French start understanding that even the bog standard whiskies
Yeah.
are very good.
Aye,
they'll start
before you start
buying
getting
them.
into some of
Yeah,
the more premium
yeah.
stuff. Absolutely. I'm going to stop talking. I'm going to open this. So what I do know about this is, as it was a sourced whiskey, or when it was a sourced whiskey, Bernard Walsh himself, he went down to Bushmills, or up to Bushmills, because they're in Carlow, and hand selected all the casks. I think each release they did brought about 1,000 cases, so 6 bottles, so about 6,000 bottles. So a pretty big, sort of hefty number for a relatively new whiskey at the time. Okay, smell that.
I
My
like the
voice
bottle.
went up about 6 octaves there.
I really like the bottle. Oh, it smells sweet, doesn't it?
Yeah, Holly's just said something there. I'm going to get you to do it.
I was gonna say, but I thought, you know what? I won't bring it up. They didn't
Let's
do
go.
the
Get
didn't
that
do
up to your
the-
collar there.
and put it.
Oh, that had like
that
me.
might be the best.
Yeah,
I'm not just saying that because it's me.
there's no bias here. There's no bias here. What I will say about this, that did smell very, very sweet. Looking at the bottle, and this was a question that we were asking earlier on, I went and found the answer. So, on the bottle of Irishman, they have braille across the bottom, dictating the name. And what I discovered was it was put on in memory of the founder's grandfather, who was blind.
Okay.
So what they did was they came along and said, right, okay, well, listen, it's going to make the bottle maybe a bit more distinctive, and it's going to be a great way to remember him. And it's going to sort of, start making whiskey even more inclusive than it already is. So I just thought that was...
I've never seen a bottle with rail on it.
I love something about a bottle that has just a uniqueness to it, or just a whiskey that has a uniqueness to it, whether it be the way it's finished in a cask, or, just the colour or the taste, whatever it is. That in itself, to me, that was a huge difference.
Outstanding.
And a very small difference to make as well. Like, it doesn't... I mean, it's not going to cost much to make that difference.
No.
So I'm going to pour this here before we lose the light. I'll pour a big, because it's a heavy bottle. I'm getting it through duty free. Right, come on. There you go.
Merci.
We were sitting today. We went out for a lovely day trip to a wee town called Branton. And after you had left, we were walking around and we were trying to figure, I don't know why we forgot it, but we just couldn't remember the French for please.
Okay.
And we were walking around because we were going into all these shops, and normally we were very fortunate because we had translators. So, when we came to lunch, it was just, I had like a steak, and then you ordered the steak for me. So we walked in the room and I was like, what's the word for please? I was just like, I'm trying to bluff my way through having a chat. What I will say, in Branton, there is a wonderful glass blower shop.
Blowers, yeah.
It's like embedded in this like
Cave. Yeah.
It's phenomenal. I did buy 2 whiskey glasses from it.
Oh, did you really?
I'll show you them after.
Oh, brilliant.
They're fantastic.
Yeah. Were they out back blowing?
Oh yeah, we watched them.
Oh, it was amazing.
I don't know how they do things like that.
And in that heat as well.
Oh, I know. But I said the glasses, the whiskey glass. Oh, I might be putting in an order. But listen, we'll get a sniff of this. So this is the point of the podcast where we pretend where we know what we're talking about, and we really don't. It is sweet.
Fake it till you make it.
Yeah. No, it is sweet. And again, I think, powers to suggestion, just because of the colour and because of the consistency, I'm getting honey.
It is unbelievably dark, isn't it?
That smells amazing. I will say this, having taken this podcast on and slowly picking up subtle tastes, you do start to pick out
Yeah, I can
certain
imagine,
things. Still not there. Still read off the box, and then try and whatever I've read off the box, I try and say, okay, can I taste this? Can I smell this?
I said to you that every Monday night after I've listened to the podcast or watched the podcast, I get a bottle of whiskey out, and I will read the side, and I will try and work out if by tasting it, whether I can get what they're saying on the side.
It does smell amazing though. Right,
Cheers.
here, cheers.
Cheers.
What's the word for cheers in French?
Chin.
Gin.
Chin.
That is delicious.
That is very good.
That is really good.
See, I just don't. I personally don't get.
I'm gonna. It's a power suggestion. That's how it works with me, because I've already read some of these things. I've picked out one thing, right, which is peach. Okay. Now I wouldn't say I would eat a lot of peach, but I do find that when I eat peach, it has a very distinctive taste. So that's the first thing that comes out, and it's one of the first things they put on it. They say you've got peach, apricot, tropical fruits, orange blossom. Now, I couldn't tell you what an orange blossom tastes like, but I can tell you what a peach tastes like, and I'm getting that sort of peach and honey, that sort of real richness to it.
So smooth.
Yeah,
There's
very,
no
very
little
smooth.
to no burn on it.
No, and it sort of, the taste sort of stays. It doesn't linger. It lingers. It doesn't disappear or dissipate. It really stays sort of on the top of your tongue, on that sort of like that palate
I've got
area.
it right on the edges of my tongue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Damien, the master distiller for Titanic, and Adrian, the owner for the Harbourview Hotel, they had given me 2 tips on how to taste whiskey. So we can try those and see if that makes any difference. The first one we'll do is Damien's, because I found that was the first time where I started able to notice some of the subtle hints.
Yeah.
So he was saying, take it, hold it in your mouth for 5 seconds, and as soon as you've swallowed, big deep breath in.
Yeah.
So I'm going to try that now.
Try that one.
See, I do
Oh,
think
it
that
tastes
works,
different.
doesn't it?
Yeah,
it
I couldn't
really
tell you.
does work.
I couldn't tell you what the tastes
Yeah.
are, but it does taste different. Definitely.
Yeah. I've I went on, I think Masters Malt, they were doing a thing, and it looks like a big giant encyclopedia book, but when you open it up, it's like about 60 or so different scents, and they're in little tiny jars. And the idea is that you're able to smell them and start to put a face to a name, essentially.
Okay. Yeah.
With, okay, if I'm smelling this, what am I actually
Yeah.
smelling? So I think that's maybe something to invest in at some point. Start trying to seem like I know something. So the second one, and again,
Much apologies for the kids on the bikes.
the second one was Adrian, the Harbourview. I went up for a tasting with him. It was part of 3 drams, so there was Titanic, Ekinville, and what was the third one? Wild Atlantic. Another great whiskey, very cheap, about £20 a bottle. Worth way more.
All right.
Really fantastic.
What was that one called?
The Wild Atlantic
Wild
whiskey.
Atlantic.
But afterwards, it was a Ardbeg. Now, I'm not much for a peated whiskey, so Adrian was trying to talk me through any kind of way that I could start picking out certain tastes. And when he did it, I sort of laughed, because it looks like one of those pretentious things that, whiskey drinkers, would do to, like, or even wine drinkers or sommeliers or something like that.
I can picture them in my head.
Yeah. I've started doing it in the house, in private, because, I don't want to come across as that kind of person. But
You become comfortable to it.
there's method to it. And I'll demonstrate it here. Sorry, Adrian, if I butcher this.
That was very intense.
I know. What you're doing is, he says that
Aerating it.
it's aerating
Yeah.
it. It starts releasing the flavours. To me, what it does, because you're aerating it, it makes it more intense, and it almost gives it a feeling of closer to like a cask strength whiskey.
Right. Okay.
And I always find with cask strength whiskey, because there's like so much ABV in it, that's very strong. I find the taste sort of almost soaks into your tongue and into your cheeks, and therefore it's sometimes a bit easier to start picking out some of these things.
Right. Okay.
So I'm not going to ask you to do that in front of a camera, but I genuinely...
do you know what? I think I might. This is my first time in front of a camera, in front of millions. In front of millions.
Millions?
Yeah, I'm not doing that.
Alcohol-y, what do you think?
I like it.
Yeah.
I got honey. I got apricot.
Is it because I said apricot, or did
Nope.
you genuinely get apricot?
No, I genuinely got apricot. I didn't get peach, but I got apricot.
I genuinely got excited at the house the other night because for the first time I felt that I was able to 100% hand on heart say I can taste that, what it's, before I even read the bottle. And it was like an agave kind of nectar kind of honey, but it had that real distinct taste. Can I remember what bottle of whiskey it was? No. Because there's been that many sort of new whiskies that have come out recently. I've just been sort of sampling here and there. You know, Graham from the Whiskey Works, he had sent down a lovely couple of samples, was trying a lot of his stuff. He did this amazing thing that I was telling you about, where he took, I can't remember off the top of my head what bottle of Copeland he said it was, but he had, say, a 5-litre cask in the house, and he filled it with Malbec wine, and he let it sort of ingest the wine for a couple of months, whatever it was, took the wine out, and then he put the Copeland in, and he gave me a sample. He left it in there for like 6 months, and he gave me a sample of it. Unbelievable.
See, what would be interesting is to have a sample of it,
Before
like
and after.
natural, like before, and a sample of it afterwards, just to really see like what the difference is.
What new flavours it
Yeah.
takes on, what sort of new profile it takes on. But yeah, it was absolutely fantastic. You want to say something?
Yeah, I was wondering, Ben, do you have a ritual when it comes to drinking whiskey? Is there a way you like to drink it?
Depends on the day.
Yeah.
Like living in France, you get days like today where it was touching like 44 degrees. I have a very cheap bottle of whiskey that sits in the freezer, and that is my like really hot get home. It's just, and it's like nectar. It goes so thick. It's just so nice to drink. But not particularly. There's no real ritual to it. I think it just depends on what mood I'm in, to what I fancy. If I like 9 times out of 10, I come home. My wife and I put the boys to bed. We'll sit downstairs. We're both self-employed, so we're both working in the evenings. And 9 times out of 10, I'll just get the Bushmills out and sit down and drink that. But every so often, I will have the one out the freezer because it's so hot.
See, we don't have that in Belfast because it's never as hot as this. I was always saying, you know, a lot of the whiskies I've tried recently, I've sort of labelled them as like a winter warmer, where this is the one that you come in and you grab when it's freezing outside. I've never thought to myself what I would grab if it was 44 degrees outside.
See, that's different. I don't think I can't relate. It gets cold here. I can't relate massively to needing like that whiskey to warm you up. Whereas, like we were talking about Monkey Shoulder yesterday, and how I didn't particularly love Monkey Shoulder when I first received it, and then someone I spoke to said to me, stick it in the freezer. It completely changes the taste, and I did, and it's like, it's so thick and I love it. It's just freezing cold on a nice hot day. I just can't think of anything short.
We're going back to Belfast in a couple of days, and Belfast is currently going through a heat wave. So I'm going to have to find a bottle of whiskey to do this. I'm going to have to put it in the... Oh, lovely. Oh, no, we didn't think of that.
No, we didn't. You can't see them, to be fair.
No,
you
but
just get the nice
but
natural
it's given
glow
us
off
a nice
our
glow
faces.
off. You know, I was like, thank you, Amy. That's Amy behind the camera. Ben's wife, Holly's cousin. We're very incestuous. There's a lot of intertwining here. Everyone involved. I got probably a bit more of that. That's absolutely delicious.
It is really nice. Wasn't
Are
what I was
any-
expecting.
Are there any whiskies you're wanting to try? Some that maybe you've coveted for quite a while?
I don't know, because like I said, you can't. The range of Irish whiskies you can buy in France is very, very short. So you're never talking like really expensive whiskies. Normally, I got to say, if I find something new and I like the look of it, I just buy it.
Yeah.
Like, it's not. That's not saying none of these bottles are over 50 quid. They're all like relatively on the cheaper scale of.
This was
of
only
whiskey.
45.
Yeah. So I would love to try a really old whiskey, like really matured whiskey, just to see, just to taste the difference, just to see
Yeah.
whether, like, there really is
Yeah.
worth the price that they usually.
So when
are.
you're saying really old, are you talking like over 30, or are you talking?
Yeah, I think around over 30. What was the one we drank the morning of your wedding?
That
day before your wedding?
was 21.
21.
That was 21. So that was
Yeah.
21 Bushmill. Again, probably one of my more favourite whiskies, I would
Yeah.
imagine, because it just. I like whiskies that have a story. That to me now has a story.
Yes.
And we've talked about it before in this, where I often jest that the wedding should have been sponsored by Bushmills, because we just had Bushmills the entire way through the day. But there's like the Middleton very rare stuff. I know it's a blend of a lot of different whiskies, so you do have whiskies that are in the Middleton very rare. They're 30 years old.
True. Yeah, I remember you saying to me they were made up of.
It's they don't put an age statement on Middleton very rare, but anything with an age statement just means that that's the youngest whiskey that's in that bottle. So if you're taking a Bushmills 10-year, the youngest whiskey in that's 10 years old.
I think to answer the question, I think if you had to nail me down on it, it would be a Macallan, like a Macallan 21 or something of that sort of ilk. I've had the Macallan 12.
Yeah.
And it is worth
It's
every
my
penny.
favourite scotch. I have that now. It's wonderful.
And so the Macallans would be one that I think I would
Need to get chatting to Lou.
I would like to give a test out, because
Lou.
they're like I said, the 12 was amazing.
Yeah. Do you know what? It was funny as well, because when we were in Brantholm, they had all the Macallans lined out as well, sitting on. I can't even remember the name of the store, but it was all lined up, right up to, I think they only had up to the 18-year.
No, right.
But yeah, something that it would be on my bucket list.
Yeah.
Something that's over the age of 30.
Yeah,
I
because
would be the next one.
I think they're when you start getting up to 21 and everything, they're quite pricey, aren't they?
You need to come over and go to Galway with me. There's an amazing whiskey bar in Galway that just, the last time I was in there, we played whiskey roulette. So there was, say, 179 different whiskies they had, and we just labelled them 1 to 179, went in random number generator.
No.
That's how we came across this. Huh? Swear to God. That's how I came across this. So it was a random number generator, and it was, I think, like the third whiskey that we had that night, and it was the Irishman 17 or whatever it was. I went down, I was like, I've never heard of that. Went up, ordered it, got down. Unbelievable. I tied that up in a nice wee neat bow there. But like the last page was the big hitters, and they're like 400 or 500 euro ago.
Yeah.
And then if you take the Bushmills 46, I think there's a place in New York that's selling it $3,000 ago.
Yeah.
And it's something that, if I was able to twist producer Holly's arm about, as an investment, the Harbourview Hotel, they are doing the 1608 flight tasting session with it has them all, and it looks brilliant, and I'll be going up and doing an episode with Adrian hopefully in the near future, and it'd make for really.
I don't know if that's a no or if it's like.
It'd make for really good content, if we really want to blow this channel up, it would make for really, really good content. You know, invest in yourself. That's what I have.
You've already got international.
Yeah, we're in France now. You know, so but I mean, the top. We have to break through this level now. You know. Adrian, I'll make her say it. Don't worry. Invest in whiskey. It's a good payout.
Sure.
You say so. This is wonderful.
It is very good.
Don't hold back. This will be easier for me to take home if it's half empty. Yours has still got some in it. Calm you down. I've had some really nice settings for the podcast. You know, we did the one with Neptune where we were in his Fergal's showroom and, you know, the really fancy kitchen and lovely marble table. You know, we've been to distilleries. I think having the sunset in the background.
Yeah, it's not too shabby, is it?
In France.
When you said you were coming over, I was going to try and beat Fergal and have like a little fire pit down in this area here. I thought, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get that sorted out. There's no way I'm being upstaged.
Well, I mean, he did invite us to his fire pit. I mean, like, so you should just, yeah. Do you know what? No, I think this is a very unique setting.
It's lovely,
That's the first one we've done outside, which is fantastic.
Yeah, there was only one small issue with the motorbikes.
Listen, the first 2 episodes had dogs in them, so
Yeah, I know, but dogs are more agreeable than little 50cc scramblers.
No, well, listen, it's been absolutely fantastic having you on for this episode.
Thank you very much.
Really, really appreciate it.
I've been looking forward to it since you said that we were going to do it.
Other than that, anything else you want to say about the whiskey before we go?
No, I think we've covered everything. It's a very, very, very good whiskey.
For £45.
Everything
That's
about
a cracking
it
whiskey.
is inviting. The bottle is different, the packaging, the braille, I think the braille's, it's such a small touch.
Yeah.
And it makes
tiny detail.
It makes it, and it's one of the first things I noticed when you brought it down.
Yeah.
When I
Cork
saw
pop
it.
was phenomenal.
And well, when in France. No, it's very good. No.
Cool. Well, listen, that's been it for this episode. Thank you very much, Ben.
Thank you very much.
Cheers.
Merci beaucoup.
Merci beaucoup.
Et bonne soirée.